Let's do a quick thought experiment. When you see the pause button on the screen, pause it, and think about what it says. You got it? Next one. Chances are, the first thing didn't automatically make you think of the second thing. They're not the exact same place in your brain, but they kind of like share a locality of feels like shit. The voice that says, you will die someday, and the voice that says, your ass is gonna be stupid and ugly for the rest of your life, for example. The voice of your fear and the voice of your shitty past have like different textures, but are still local to each other. Like different districts of the same shitty city. I hope the comparison I'm making is super clear. So just now we made a choice to revisit one or two of those dark places, but most of the time we don't go there on purpose. We get dragged back. Or find that despite our best efforts, we just kind of bit it really hard and find ourselves back in a bad place. Alright, so the song Heavy Dirty Soul opens up the album Blurry Face, and Tyler tells us what we're gonna do in this record.
There's an infestation in my mind's imagination. I hope they choke on smoke 'cause I'm smoking in my basement. This is not rap, this is not hip-hop. Just another attempt to make the voices stop rapping to prove nothing. Just writing to say something 'cause I wasn't the only one who wasn't rushing to saying nothing. This doesn't mean I lost my dream. It's just right now I got a really crazy mind to clean.
Okay, so there's this infestation, and it's these voices. Tyler says, I'm gonna smoke them out. Like he's gonna bring them to light or bring them to the surface. And that's exactly what he does, starting with identifying them. Each song lays out a particular struggle or an idea that's destructive. We have Heavy Dirty Soul, the voice that fears death above all things. We have Tear in My Heart, the voice that says, love is a huge fucking vulnerability. Ride, the voice that says, you're destroying your relationships for your career. We have Polarize, the voice that says, sorting out your best and worst selves is impossible. We have Lane Boy, the voice that says, if what you're doing isn't in service of fame and success, what are you doing? You're doing it wrong. There's Fairly Local that says, you're inherently bad. You'll never change, and you don't stand a chance. We have Stressed Out, the voice that says, you'll never know peace or blissful ignorance again. And we have Goner, which says, you're already dying, and also sums up the record and tells us what is needed. And in the center of it all is doubt. The fear that you're trapped here, and everyone's gonna move on without you. And these are our bishops. Or at least they were, in this like snapshot of time that was 2013 and 2014 when Blurry Face was actually written. It's been 5 or 6 years. I'm sure some of these issues have changed over time. Maybe some of them are resolved. Or, if Tyler was like the rest of us, just evolved into something even more fucked up. Can we check on that? Yeah, I'd say so. To an extent. For instance, if you were to look at Lane Boy across the Blurry Face era, and its moment of red on the line, will they be alive tomorrow, referring to fame and success, you would find that when we cross into the Trench era, that red is gone. No flash of red light, no red in the visuals either. And you would also find, once 2019 hits, the hazmats even lose their red filters and red gloves. So we might reasonably infer that something about this state of mind that's 5 or 6 years old at this point has changed. And for a band that upended every bit of conventional wisdom about how to proceed after an album like Blurry Face, and straight up disappearing for a year, they just come right back and keep knocking it out of the park, where other artists would probably have to throw all their weight behind just being relevant again. What I'm saying is they're doing things their way, and they made fame and success their bitch. Not because they became famous and successful. I mean, overcame it in the sense of no longer being ruled by the anxiety that fame and success might wrongly guide their choices. You would also find this to be true for Ride's moment of red, the line, I'd die for you. But when we've crossed into Trench, no more red there. In fact, a distinct lack of it. And obviously, there's only so much we can know about their lives, but for a song about struggling to maintain relationships on the road, it makes sense that this struggle might ease a bit as the band gets bigger, they get more control, more means, and we see them bringing family to them. On the other hand, there's songs that, because of the nature of what they're about, will probably always be red. If for some reason you want to hear me talk about that in detail, there's a whole series, it's on YouTube, and I understand that not a lot of people want to do an hour-long deep dive, so here's a good visual way to connect the idea of the destructive voices in these songs that make up Blurry Face, the 9 circles, and the bishops. If you were to pick up a copy of Blurryface and say which of these songs uses red light in the live show, you would find that it's these ones, and from this album, only these ones. The songs are The Shitty Voices, are Blurryface, are The Bishops. But back to what we were talking about. My point is, circumstances change. What you're struggling with over time will change. I doubt it's necessary that the Bishops have these exact names, of these exact songs, of these exact struggles, but these are the ones we know. And we're telling a story here. I mean, really, this isn't even the first time we've seen these guys. Remember this bumper video from before Polarize, where Josh goes down some stairs, and we see these very Bishop-like masks in a basement being a problem, and in that song it says, "Down those stairs is where I'll be hiding all my problems." This idea of these thoughts being like deep down or in a basement has come around a couple of times. Like at a recent press conference, Tyler described the city as being at the bottom of trench. And it also reinforces that Blurryface need not be represented as one individual entity. He can also be shown as a conglomeration of many of the same kind of thing. Like this splintered silhouette in polarized visuals that flickers into the 9 dots of Blurryface's face. Or it could even be just two things. Like fame and success here, they're two different voices, two different ideas, but functionally here, for Tyler, what they are is Blurryface. I feel like we're on the same page here, but just to nail this down, we have Blurryface as a conglomeration of destructive thoughts or voices that have power over you. Seems like one thing is in fact many things. Though they can be very different, they have that commonality of kind of fucking you over. So why the Bourbaki group? Well, for my money, this is a story that starts with the null sign, when Tyler gets a tattoo of one, way back in 2012, the month they recorded Vessel. Because as we know, this is a concept that the Bourbaki group came up with. But let's save this for another video and really take some time with it then. For now, let's look at these commonalities between the Bourbaki group and Blurryface. 1. The Bourbaki group is a group of people speaking in the guise of one. 2. They exist in the real world. When we move Blurryface out of Tyler's head, we externalize them. Blurryface doesn't exist in a vacuum. Notice how this album explicitly says this culture more than once. We see a greater context that Blurryface exists in, kind of like how Vessel was a thing and Blurryface was a person and Dima is a place. We're zooming out. And lastly, they're mathematicians and they're seeking a unified system. And to me, the idea of this internal, relentless mathematician that seeks conformity with the system they're trying to establish makes a lot of sense. Think of what our culture sees as worth.
See, I'm not good at math, so this is difficult for me.
Math?
Because they're mathematicians, right?
Math has nothing to do with it.
But math has
and
everything
yet
to do with
it
music,
has everything
doesn't
to
it?
do with it.
21 pilots.
21 pilots.
21 pilots.
9,765. Turns out it doesn't take a million likes to get the music industry's attention.
It's like, what's success? That's my question. It's like, what is success? Is it, for me and most people, I think that it's all about numbers. It's like, if I make this much money, I will say that I'm very interested in sales and numbers. Or if I get in front of this many people, if I play this many shows, or...
How many days until you can play the bigger venue?
If I, it's a numbers thing. But then you start really wondering, my version of success in my flesh, where it's just my humanly instincts, I think, well, if I can influence and impact this many people, I'd be successful. But maybe my view of success is so messed up that really the most successful thing is that one person that I'm gonna impact my entire life.
So Tyler is describing this numbers-based idea of success that he himself believes that he's internalized, but in the same breath is questioning that. He's saying, this is what I believe, but maybe I'm not valuing the right things at all. Maybe I'm just fucked up. Whether this idea strikes a chord with you, it's clear that this eats at him. It's like he's trying to pull a thorn out of his own head. And fundamentally, what is Blurryface but that? Look at his face when he answers this next question.
Is it truly that you see yourself as messed up, or is it just like being quite harsh on yourself, being critical?
Ouch. Okay, my time is up for Twitter, but we'll pick right back up with this in the next video.